having open communication, having regular discussions about parenting approaches. As a dad going into it and you're not having those conversations, there's going to be a lot of assumptions. What is up, everybody? It is Ed Gough Jr. of Dad Central, and the man with every time he has different hairstyles. I'm consistent. He has different things going on every time.
Drew Soleyn here. Finally cut my hair. It had been grown way too long, and so now it's especially in the summertime. It's been so hot.
Yes, it is. It has been hot, hazy, and humid in our part of the world, but it's been good. It's been good. Before we go any further, let's talk about it. The Dad Central Show has been sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. Dove Men Plus Care believes that care is the best of a man because when men care for themselves and others, there's a positive impact. How's the hot, hazy summer for you, Drew?
It's good. I'm in the middle of renovations. Last time we recorded, you called me the Reno King. I appreciate the term of endearment, but I'm not the king yet. We'll have to see how the next couple weeks go.
Well, you said wait until September, so we're not at September yet. How's baseball?
Good. We got a playoff starting on the 11th.
Wow. Summer is flying. What I mean, playoffs? My gosh, already? And what about your son's baseball?
Yeah, he's got a game this weekend, and then he's got a play down to get into provincials the following weekend.
Provincials? Whoa.
If they make it.
How is he enjoying it?
He seems to be having a great time.
Good. And what position does he play out, just out of curiosity?
At this age, they play everywhere.
Okay. All right. An all-arounder. Well, look, this has been a really good summer, but it's gone by so quick. Like I was saying about 2 weeks ago, back to school ads, now they are in full effect. So, all right, let's get to our conversation topic today. Another great conversation topic, how to handle a partner with different parenting ideals. Very interesting. And in today's episode, you're going to learn about some strategies to navigate and reconcile parenting styles between you and your partner. Say different parenting styles between you and your partner. But Drew, thoughts before we get into this one?
Yeah, so the reason we're doing this is because we've got a dad mentor community, and there are a lot of questions that people have submitted. And so our goal is to build almost like a coaching community through these recordings where we're sharing answers to these common questions to help you as a dad, assuming you're going to have similar questions to what our community dad mentor has as well. So my thoughts are this one's sticky. And I think the first word that comes to mind is conflict. It's probably a primary source of conflict. How about you?
Yeah, before we turned on the recording button, we had to do some deep thinking on this one because it's an ongoing conversation. And just I look at dads themselves, we have just in handling ourselves, we have different ways we behave, and then bring it then to your child or children with your partner. It can be a challenging ongoing thing because you're bringing partner one, partner two different backgrounds, probably a lot of ways, two different ways they've been raised, and then it's one of those things that can cause conflict, as you said. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I don't think this is going to be the first time we chat about this. Let me just put it that way.
No, I think it's an ongoing conversation as long as you learn some important principles. But the hard part is actually living those out in the relationship as a parent.
100%. Well, let's start off. What's one tip that you'd like to say or share in regards? So we'll go ping pong back and forth on some tips to help our dads and those who love them on this.
For me, I'm going to start with something I learned a long time ago from John Maxwell, and it's always stuck with me. It's the 101%. And what that is you find the 1% you agree on with the other person, and you give that 1% 100% of your effort. And what I love about that is that it focuses you on where there might be the smallest piece that you can actually agree, and you build forward from that. The difference being when you focus on why we're different or how we're different, you actually start to focus in the wrong place. Because as a parent, you're working together as teammates essentially for the good of the child. And the child is the common interest, and the good is the common interest. The more that you shift your mindset to focus on how do we both do that together with our unique backgrounds, culture, perspectives, values, so that the child benefits, it brings you, I think, in the right headspace. And even if it's as small as 1%, you have enough to go forward together. So that's what I love about that 101% principle. And I think it puts you in the right mindset to work towards agreement, even if you feel that you're very different in that 99%. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. I will add another perspective too. I think right from the get go, having open communication, having regular discussions about parenting approaches, and do this preferably when you're both calm and free from distractions, right? And also active listening. Listen to where your partner's parenting background came from, because in many cases it may be different, but listen, be an active listener in regards to that, but have those regular conversations, because especially as a dad going into it and you're not having those conversations, there's going to be a lot of assumptions, and having those assumptions can be lead to some rocky and challenging times. So having those open conversations, I would say open and continuous conversations that are both foundational on active listening by both parties.
Yeah, those are all great points. It reminds me of, I don't know if this happens much these days, maybe our parents' generation more. Before you got married, they would have active counseling or pre-marriage type of discussions where you actually talk about, you know, what are your beliefs about children? Do you want to have children yet? And how do you envision raising children? So you actually are having that open communication before you get into marriage, before you've even actually maybe even thought of having children. So the idea of, if that doesn't happen these days, you're entering, maybe you're expecting your first child. The sooner you have these conversations, the more you get open, the more you explore. And I'd say from a place of curiosity, like, what do you think about raising a child today? Like, what's important to you when it comes to our child as they grow? What about schools? What about daycare? What about all those other elements that go into it? The more you get curious, ask questions. I think that's a great starting point that you're talking about. The other thing that came to mind as you're sharing is, I think it was Stephen Covey who has the quote about, it's more important to understand than to be understood. I think I've messed up. But the point is that your goal should be to understand the other person that you're interacting with, and understand their perspectives more than you want them to understand you. Not discounting your perspective. And it is important that they do understand you, but your first step is understand your partner, what they're looking for, and what matters to them, to find that 1%, maybe, if you have a different
And you use a very interesting word there that a lot of people are not using these days: understanding other perspectives. We're in such a cancel culture these days that a number of people now are not even listening to what you're saying. They're just, no, it's not what not for, I don't agree with it. They just cancel it. They don't take in the
perspective.
understanding in regards to those conversations, and be supportive, right? And also take these conversations as not as a combative, but educational. It's a learning opportunity, not a confronting opportunity. It's so important
Mhm.
approaching these conversations when it comes to raising children. Hey, you both have something in common here, and we should always be looking for the commonality that we want to raise the child the best that we can when we're raising our child. So I think that eliminate the cancel culture, take it as educational.
Yeah, very important. What's coming to mind for me is a relevant personal example that maybe I'll share, and it'll help ground this even in what this can look like in real life. So, Kristen and I have Eliana. She is almost 16 months old, and both or we both want the best for her. We both feel that her physical, emotional, psychological development is so crucial. But one of the areas where we have some differences is sleep and how we go about helping Aliana learn to sleep or how her sleep habits are. And so, a 1%, like we both believe that sleep is important for her development. So that's actually a pretty big road. It's probably more than 1%. We both believe that, but how we go about doing it is very different, and how we implement that is very different. And it's created some conflict between the two of us. In terms of, I say this way, and she's this way. And so, how I've lived that, 1% is that I do my best to say, I know when we have these conversations, I know that we both care about her physical development. I know we both care and love her. We both have the best interest. And so we try and understand where each other's coming from. We still don't necessarily have a resolution, but to your point of, I know we have this values. So there's certain points where I just say, what, okay, I leave it to you. I trust you, and we'll move forward with that. And sometimes I say, well, this is what I think is important, and we should. Sometimes she'll give a little bit towards me. So it's an ongoing. One of the points you made is that we're continually discussing about it. We're continually evaluating, and we continue to honor and respect each other's perspectives, and try to get a deeper understanding of why we might get stronger and stronger in our hold of why we feel what we, if that is clear for people.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Absolutely. One or two other things I want to add on this is prioritizing your relationship with your partner and making the time as a couple to strengthen your relationship, your part with your partner, because I believe the stronger your relationship is with your partner, that is going to flow and make the sometimes challenges of raising children easier. So prioritize some time outside of raising your children with your partner. You know, find some shared activities that you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be just even going for a walk. I use the example of my neighbor around the corner. Every day he comes home from work, he's out walking his dog with his partner and his daughter. Like they do that at least 3 or 4 days a week. And I'm pretty sure that that provides a good foundation for a lot of the potential challenges they have in parenting because they're both of different cultural backgrounds. He's from, I think, either Italian or Portuguese background. His first name's Rocco, and his partner is of, you know, Asian background. So it's really interesting that every day. So I'm sure though that little shared activity, and it's only like 15-20 minutes. I'm sure that strengthens potential areas of challenge because they're from two different cultural backgrounds. So I'm pretty sure they had two different ways that they were raised that they were bringing to the table when they had their child. So they're finding ways to make it happen in a positive way.
Yeah, I think you used a great word, foundation, which reminds me of one final point I want to make about this is the idea of values. And often, if we look how we make decisions in our life, especially the biggest, most important decisions, you can almost always point back to some core or foundation of value. And so I think this is where dads can work really well in building a strong partnership is identifying the shared values that you and your partner both have, but also recognizing where maybe some differences in values and building an understanding and a respect of the different values and how they are important for each other in your lives, but how then you're going to work together as a family to live out those values in a way that I think honor your expectations and or the way you want to see your children take up those values and live them out. So I think a great thing we've built into Dad Mentor is we've in the early stages have a values activity that fathers can do for themselves, but we also encourage them to do with their partner, and even maybe when the kids are old enough, bring the kids in where you. It's a fun activity. It's called the values card sort. So, anyways, where you identify your top 10, and then you actually pare it down to your top 5 based on a list of I think it's almost 80 values, and then you get clear. Oh yeah, wow, here are 10 values that we hold very dear, and we can see how they work in our lives. And then you can even create activities or do things you want as a family. At one point in time, we put the value up on the calendar. This month, our value focus is X. Next month, our value focus is Y. It's just a nice way to get on the same page.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just add on to what Drew's already said. One little other thing too that is important, suggestion wise, you and your partner present a united front in front of your children. Even if you have different methods, consistency and core values is very important for a stable environment. Really important. So even if you have different methods, when you're in front of the kids, be united. Anything else you want to add, Drew, on this?
I think we've given lots to start with.
All right, fantastic. Well, as always, we want to hear from you. Email is podcast@dadcentral.ca. Podcast, dadcentral.ca/podcast. And website where you'll get more resources on top of the ones you've heard or watched right now, dadcentral.ca. And as always, too, we want to thank Dove Men Plus Care. So the Dad Central show is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. Dove Men Plus Care believes that care is the best of a man because when men care for themselves and others, there's a positive impact. So as always, want to say thank you for giving us the most precious thing you have in your life, your time. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourselves grace, and we'll chat with you soon. Be well.